Good evening, dear viewers. I hope you had a good start of the weekend. Welcome to the English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. We'll begin with the top stories of the day. The judiciary of Rwanda has officially launched a book containing a special report on genocide cases with final judgments. The Rwanda Meteorology Agency has urged institutions and citizens to rely on the seasonal forecast for the September-December 2025 rainy season. And on the international scene, European Union defense ministers gathered in Copenhagen to discuss strengthening European security and amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. My name is Olive, and it's always a pleasure to have you on board. And as we begin this edition, let us inform you that on Friday, President Paul Kagame met with a delegation from the Qatar Leadership Center. The discussions focused on Rwanda's long-term vision, highlighting the importance of national unity, bringing people together regardless of background, and fostering inclusive growth to lift citizens out of poverty and drive sustainable development. Also this afternoon, President Kagame received the outgoing Egyptian ambassador to Rwanda, Her Excellency Nermin El Zawahi, as she concluded her tenure. Moving ahead, the judiciary of Rwanda has officially launched a book containing a special report on genocide cases with final judgments, which is expected to be used in law schools and research institutions as an authentic source of reference. We have details. The report outlines the laws applied and the professionalism that characterized the trials since the beginning of the prosecution of those responsible for the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. The rector of the Institute of Legal Practice and Development, Dr. Muyoboke Kamrinda Aimé, stated that this law report is of a great importance to students and legal practitioners.
Those studying law, as well as practitioners, particularly in the fields of international law on the prevention of genocide crimes or humanitarian law, need to have a solid understanding of these legal principles. The best way to acquire this knowledge is by examining how the principles set out in the law have been interpreted and applied by the courts. This report provides an analysis of judicial reasoning on principles found both in international law and our penal code.
According to Belen Calvo-Uyara, the ambassador-designate of the European Union delegation, this is a testament to the government's commitment to delivering justice and combating impunity.
This is a testament of the commitment of the government and of the judiciary to the access to justice, to accountability, and to the fight against impunity. And it's a great pleasure and a privilege for the European Union to partner this process and this exercise of the past 4 years. This special volume, it really represents, it documents on the landmark jurisprudence on the genocide-related cases, and in doing so, it strengthens the consistency, the transparency, the efficiency, and also the access to justice in Rwanda.
The President of the Supreme Court, Domitila Mukanaganzwa, pointed out that this is a major milestone because the book compiles a comprehensive report on genocide cases with final judgments.
This work marks a significant milestone in the strengthening of our legal system and in the consolidation of Rwanda's commitment to the rule of law, transparency, and access to justice. The 1994 genocide against the Tutsi claimed more than 1 million innocent lives, tore apart the fabric of our society, and left wounds that may never fully heal. Yet, from those ashes, Rwanda chose the path of justice and reconciliation. The judiciary has carried out a sacred responsibility of holding perpetrators accountable, guaranteeing the rights of survivors, and contributing to building a society founded on the rule of law. This special report is a testament of that responsibility. By compiling landmark rulings on genocide cases, we are not only preserving legal precedents, but also safeguarding the truth against distortion, denial, revisionism, of the 94 genocide against the Tutsi.
She added that such reports should be produced more often because they are a valuable source of factual information for researchers and other users.
The Raw Report is not only a tool for legal practitioners, scholars, and students, it is also a testimony of our judiciary's commitment to ensure that justice is administered consistently, fairly, and in full respect of our Constitution and laws. Reliable law reporting is the backbone of any credible legal system. It provides guidance, fosters predictability, and builds public trust in judicial decisions.
The book has been published in 2 languages, Kinyarwanda and English. After the Gacaca courts were established in 2002, they officially began trying genocide-related cases on March 10th, 2005, starting with hearings in 118 sectors across the country. Moving ahead, the Rwanda Meteorology Agency has urged institutions and citizens to rely on the seasonal forecast for the September-December 2025 rainy season released today in order to take firm measures to mitigate the effects of climate change. The rainy season will begin in September and end in December. The agency has indicated that rainfall across different parts of the country is expected to start between September 8th and 25th and will end between December 15th and 29th. Research conducted by the Ministry in charge of emergency management between 2013 and June 2025 showed that during the coming season, 53% of disasters recorded in the country were caused by strong winds, while 39% were due to lightning. To more news, the assets of the Bank of Kigali and its subsidiaries under the BK Group PLC increased by 4.9% in the first 6 months of 2025 compared to the same period in 2024. The assets rose from 2,521 billion Rwandan francs in 2024 to 2,644 billion Rwandan francs in 2025. Let's take a look at the details. The management of the Bank of Kigali Group PLC presented the financial performance achieved in the first half of 2025, showing that the Bank of Kigali made a profit of over 52.2 billion Rwandan francs after taxes, representing a growth of 12.9%. This was mainly driven by interest income from loans worth 231 billion Rwandan francs, as well as a 7.9% increase in the number of customers, which pushed deposits to more than 2.6 trillion Rwandan francs. The CEO of the Bank of Kigali, Dr. Diane Karusisi, explained that a key highlight of this year is the increase in loans directed to small and medium enterprises, as well as the agriculture sector, though she acknowledged that there is still a long way to go.
So abantu bari mu buhinzi Banki ya Kigali kugeza ubu yabageneye miliyari.
The Bank of Kigali has so far allocated 95 billion Rwandan francs to support people in the agriculture sector. Our plan is that by 2026, we will increase this amount to 150 billion Rwandan francs. And I would say we are on the right track. Last year, we allocated 60 billion Rwandan francs, but today we are already at 95 billion. And by next year, we expect to reach 150 billion Rwandan francs. It is not only the Bank of Kigali that registered growth. The subsidiaries under BK Group PLC also made a profit of 51.9 billion Rwandan francs in the first 6 months of 2025, up from 47.8 billion Rwandan francs recorded in 2024. This represents an increase of 8.6%, which was attributed to good governance and innovative business practices, as explained by Dr. Uziel Ndagijimana, the CEO of the BK Group PLC.
The services that have been expanding include technology-related services, allowing more people to easily access banking through their mobile phones, whether for transactions, applying for loans, opening accounts, or other services. This expansion is not only making services more accessible, but it is also increasing the number of clients and boosting business.
The Bank of Kigali also revealed that in the first 6 months of 2025, It introduced various technological innovations for its customers, including BK Quick Plus, which allows clients to access loans of up to 50 million Rwandan francs in less than 15 hours without collateral, using digital platforms such as the BK mobile app or internet banking. Moving ahead, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has visited the Ngamira transit camp, which hosts 3,196 Congolese refugees who fled insecurity in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo at different times. Filippo Grandi explained why he had decided to visit the camp.
I'm here on a visit to the region, following the Washington Agreement and the Doha Declaration of Principles. You know that both these documents include a mention of the refugees, because the refugees have been a result of the conflicts in this area. So the hope is that if these peace processes proceed in a positive manner, we can find solutions for refugees. And this is what I discussed with President Kagame yesterday. We had an excellent meeting. I want to take this opportunity to thank him for the time that he gave me and for the substance of the discussion. I thanked him for, and you asked me this question, for the very good policies that Rwanda has for refugees. Rwanda hosts almost 140,000 Congolese and Burundian refugees and has very, very open policies. You know, here we are in a transit center, so these are the people that have arrived from Congo recently, but progressively these people will be moved to Mahama and to other camps where they will have access to education, to health services, even to work. And this is the result of excellent policies of Rwanda.
The refugees have requested the High Commissioner to make their voices heard by the Congolese government so that they may be allowed to return to their country, and for the killings targeting Congolese citizens who speak in Rwanda to stop, because that is the main reason why they were forced to flee. Now, in Musanze district, as part of the Volcanoes National Park expansion, residents will be relocated to the model village of Rurembo in Kinigi sector, Musanze district, and as part of this expansion of the national park, they welcome the initiative as it brings projects aimed at improving their livelihoods, including a technology-based vegetable and seed farming center, and the newly inaugurated center relocated in the area designated for the model village covers 1,250 square meters. It is one of the several infrastructures planned to support residents and will benefit 510 families being relocated in the first phase from the area surrounding the park. Among the 211 residents trained in modern farming techniques, many expressed their gratitude, noting that the project will help them cultivate small plots of land and achieve productive yields. They thanked the government of Rwanda for prioritizing their well-being, and the center is built using greenhouses where crops such as peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers are cultivated. Jean-Guy Africa, the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, explained that this project is a very significant project in relation to tourism, agriculture, and the development of the local population.
First, today, we are inaugurating a new greenhouse that specializes on the production of tomatoes, high quality tomatoes. But the message, the big message that is being passed today is the link between tourism, conservation, and what is happening here today. For the last 20 years, 10% of our tourism revenues have been allocated to the development of the districts. They have financed different activities ranging from agriculture, fish farming, education, health, across the country's districts. And this is just one example of the ways in which we utilize tourism revenues to benefit the development of local communities. I want to highlight that over the last 20 years, the revenues that we've generated from tourism, they have grown to about $650 million last year. We're aiming for $1 billion. and more than 10% is allocated annually. Altogether, we've allocated close to 18 billion Rwandese francs for the last 20 years for the development of all the different districts across the country. So what you're seeing here is one of those examples. There are many more across the districts, and you could sense today with the different interventions that the local population, even in the rural areas, are beginning to appreciate the benefits that they're getting from the various tourism products that we develop, and the link is growing stronger. So this is what we were here to do today, to launch this new greenhouse for tomato, for the production of tomato. But already in conversation with the Ministry of Agriculture, with the local cooperatives, the governors of the two provinces, northern and western, we're already thinking of providing additional support so that we increase the production of tomatoes, and we eventually move to things like paste and so on. We add more value to what we're producing so that the people in our rural areas can have their skills strengthened, can earn more, and overall improve their livelihoods.
In total, 922 families will be relocated as part of the Volcanoes National Park expansion project, which is estimated to cost $50 million and will cover 732 hectares.
Journey has a beginning. From nature comes refreshing fruity goodness that keeps you going every day. With every pack complementing life's best moments. Not one, not two, but 5 different fruity flavors. And this journey keeps giving. Introducing Inyanji's new fruity juice flavors, guava and cocktail. Now available at your nearest shop. Always ask for Inyanji.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Get ready for one of the biggest celebrations of the year. It's the 20th edition of Rwanda's iconic Kwitizina Gorilla Naming Ceremony, happening on Friday, September 5th, 2025, at the breathtaking foothills of Volcanoes National Park. Join thousands of guests, local communities, and international visitors as we honor Rwanda's newest mountain gorilla babies and celebrate 2 decades of conservation success. Celebrate the vibrant spirit of Rwanda. Join us for an unforgettable festival showcasing the best of Rwandan culture with traditional dances, live performances, and much more. Experience the heart and soul of Rwanda like never before. Come witness this global event where celebrities and conservation champions unite to name Rwanda's beloved gorillas. It's an experience like no other, a true celebration of conservation and culture. Mark your calendars and get ready for a week of exciting events. Be part of the story. Be part of the future of conservation. For more details, visit www.kwitizina.rw and be part of Rwanda's conservation legacy. Kwitizina 2025, where tradition meets celebration. Don't miss it.
Cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of death among women globally, including in Rwanda. Yet, it can be prevented through vaccination if the vaccine is taken early enough. That is why the Ministry of Health
has established a program to vaccinate all girls against this cancer. The vaccine is now administered in a single dose only. It has been observed that some girls in Rwanda missed out on this vaccine, and thus a special campaign has been organized to provide the cervical cancer vaccine free of charge to girls aged 12 to 17 years who have never received it before. The campaign will run from August 4 to August 30, 2025 in all health centers across Rwanda. Don't miss this opportunity. Dear parents, vaccinate your daughter on time, remembering that protecting her health is your responsibility. This message is from the Ministry of Health through the Rwanda Biomedical Center, RBC.
You're still watching RTV News. Now to matters making headlines globally. Kenyan authorities say that 32 bodies and more than 50 body parts have been exhumed from shallow graves in the past 2 weeks. The graves were found near property linked to a doomsday cult where hundreds of followers died 2 years ago. The cult's leader, Pastor Paul Mackenzie, remains in jail facing trial for murder and related charges. Al Jazeera has a detailed story.
The story of the deaths of hundreds of followers of Pastor Paul Mackenzie 2 years ago shocked the world. People here are now astounded that the story is not over. Last month, reports of missing children in Malindi County in Kenya's Coast Province led police investigators to this site, where they've exhumed dozens of bodies in the last 2 weeks.
This particular site, the bodies look a bit fresh. They are not fully skeletonized, unlike last week. The bodies we exhumed last week were full skeletons with no flesh. But the bodies we found here look to have been buried a few months or weeks ago.
It's just 15 kilometers from the Shakahola forest, where Mackenzie led his followers before survivors say he told them to starve themselves to death so they could meet Jesus Christ. Investigators said some of the 400 bodies exhumed 2 years ago showed signs of starvation, and others, including children, had been beaten to death. Mackenzie was arrested and charged with murder, manslaughter and torturing children. He's pleaded not guilty. His trial was adjourned last month, awaiting new evidence. Kenya's Interior Minister has said Mackenzie's using a mobile phone to continue leading his cult from his cell. The area where he led his followers and where fresh bodies are now being exhumed is desolate bush, largely uninhabited. It's hard for people to survive here, and few people see if they come here to die or be killed.
2 weeks now, toka Binzaro ilianze.
It's been 2 weeks since the exhumation began, yet the county government hasn't issued a statement. We wonder if they're involved in this. They need to come forward so that we can find a way of ending religious extremism.
People in the nearby community say the followers who arrived here recently aren't from around here. Previously, many of Mackenzie's followers were inspired by his YouTube channel and came from other parts of Kenya seeking emancipation. Their deaths prompted widespread calls for Kenya's churches, some of them connected to powerful politicians, to be held to account. But nothing has changed in time to stop it happening again.
To more news, European Union defense ministers gathered in Copenhagen to discuss strengthening European security amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. Ministers expressed broad support for expanding the EU's military training mission to operate inside Ukraine if a truce is reached. Al Jazeera once more.
EU defense ministers were supposed to continue finalizing their plans to deploy soldiers in Ukraine if any peace deal between Ukraine and Russia is agreed. But amidst the latest escalation, EU countries fear the worst. Poland scrambled jets and put its air defense systems on the highest state of alert as Russia launched multiple overnight missile and drone attacks on Kyiv.
Well, as you know, due to Russia's full-scale invasion into Ukraine, Sweden and Finland changed our postures, and we're part of NATO now. We're safer, NATO is stronger. And for us, this has been a good way to strengthen the northern flank.
Iran was also on the agenda after the UK, Germany and France began the process of restoring major sanctions that were lifted under a 2015 deal. The Europeans want Iran to make concessions over its nuclear program or face further isolation.
If you read the JCPOA and the conditions that are there, then Iran hasn't met those conditions for quite some time. So it is the decision of E3, and of course now we have this 30 days to sort things out and maybe have a different solution.
The EU is also under pressure to take action against the deteriorating situation in Gaza. EU countries have warned they may suspend their association agreement if Israel doesn't end the war in Gaza.
It is absolutely imperative now that Europe matches its words of condemnation with concrete actions against Israel to help bring about a ceasefire, see a surge in humanitarian aid, and of course see the release of all the hostages. And I look forward to talking with colleagues about that. There's a whole spectrum of actions that could be taken under the association agreement to show Israel that Europe actually stands up for its values.
EU leaders face major security challenges. For now, they strongly believe their only chance to counter Russian threats is to ensure the US remains fully committed to Europe's security. But the EU fears it may be forced to deploy troops and provide substantial military assistance without major US involvement, a move that for many could expose the weakness of European military posturing in the face of Russian military might. Hashim Ahbar, Al Jazeera, Copenhagen.
And this story brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we leave, a reminder of the top stories that made this edition. The judiciary of Rwanda has officially launched a book containing a special report on genocide cases with final judgments. The Rwanda Meteorology Agency has urged institutions and citizens to rely on the seasonal forecast for the September-December 2025 rainy season. And on the international scene, European Union defense ministers gathered in Copenhagen to discuss strengthening European security amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. And this marks the end of today's bulletin. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of the entire news team, we wish you a restful weekend. Stay safe. Goodbye.